Yeah, that's right, Tarek. People have been coming and going all day. Right now, you can see there are a few officers parked out front of the hotel. We've seen officers circling the hotel throughout the day. Now, we spent most of our day talking with residents, tenants who live here, who say they're upset. They're upset because they were only given 2 days' notice. Some say they have no place to go. Minutes ago, thousands of people were out here, and around 5:05 is when authorities came out on side-by-side vehicles, in trucks, on PA systems, evacuating the crowds of people from this beach. Now, I spoke with the public information officer of the Jacksonville Beach Police Department about an hour ago, and she told me they are going to begin with warnings. They are going to be adding patrols to the beaches. They're going to be setting up barricades, and they will be setting up signage to warn people. But if that does not work, they will be issuing citations and making arrests. High tide was at 3:42 this morning. Again, as you can see, conditions are still extremely rough. The wind is whipping. The water is very choppy. I want to bring in meteorologist Richard Nunn in on this conversation. Richard, any indication on when these conditions will lighten up for the Coast Guard to get in here and get this boat out? Tom, and according to the report, that pilot works for a local flight school. He says he forgot the gun was in his bag. Finally dry, Stacey. Yes, that is the good news here this morning. As you can see, this road behind us that was closed yesterday is now open again. Great news. But to give you perspective on just how much water, how much rain came down in this area, look at the grass here. It is flat, and that's because the weight and the rush of the water. The sidewalks this morning look like shorelines or beaches with the ripples. Joy, this is a tough story. James died here 8 days ago. His family obviously is heartbroken. I spoke with them this afternoon. They say they want answers, and they're not going to stop until they get justice. Yeah, and that gentleman is not alone. We've spoke to so many people out here who say they are concerned. They're worried about what to do with all of their belongings. And what's next? According to court documents, several incidents were caught on camera, all happening from inside this fulfillment center. Right now, crews are busy fighting those flames on the west side. Here on the east side, walk with me for a moment. Crews are busy monitoring and watching hot spots like these. Kent, well, you just said it. They say it's almost impossible to access old A1A. Take a look at how deep and soft this sand is. And if you look north on old A1A, you will see it's almost impossible to access this road if you do not have a four-wheel drive vehicle. According to this incident report, the abuse happened here inside Lake City Middle School. Now, I spoke with the child's mother. As you might imagine, she is not happy. She says she is speaking up for a couple of reasons. One, for children everywhere. And two, she wants to see the assistant principal here fired. Ken, you know, it was a long, interesting day. Court began just before 9 o'clock this morning. It's actually still going on inside the courtroom. We heard testimony from 7 people, including Gregory Tim himself. As you mentioned, this is a first. Also a first. We saw the video he shot as he drove into the tent. Well, Bruce, this is the hour we've been waiting for, anticipating all morning long. It's after 8 o'clock, so that means we are officially in that minor flood stage. I just got off the phone with John Ward, the Director of Emergency Management for Clay County. He says we are currently at 17.2, 17.4 feet of water. Minor flooding begins at 16 feet of water. The next threshold, moderate flooding, begins at 18. Tom, thankfully nobody was injured, but several docks were lost. Walk with me. I want to show you something. Take a look at this. This morning, this was a dock intact. This evening, as you can see, it is a raft. To give you perspective on just how close this fire was to consuming homes, you can see burned earth, the containment line, and just feet away, a house. Bubba lived in a home on 31st Street. His body was found in this wooded area about 2.5 blocks away from his home in an area his family says they searched several times. Mary, while crews search for any signs of life or debris, at this hour we're getting insight on what those final moments could have been like aboard that plane. A happy ending to a frightening ordeal. The children kidnapped that prompted an Amber Alert were found safe around 1 o'clock this afternoon inside inside this motel room. The parents were arrested for kidnapping. Well, Melanie, we've been kicked off the property, but at this time, the motive for the shooting is still not known. This is according to police. They say two people were sitting inside a car at around 1 o'clock this morning when they were shot. We know an 18-year-old woman was shot and killed. A 21-year-old man was shot. He was transported to a nearby hospital. He is being treated for non-life-threatening injuries. This is the home where that shooting allegedly took place. Authorities have not released any additional information on the incident, but with 4 children being shot within the first 5 weeks of 2021, people are talking about change. Yeah, that's right, Tarek. People have been coming and going all day. Right now, you can see there are a few officers parked out front of the hotel. We've seen officers circling the hotel throughout the day. Now, we spent most of our day talking with residents, tenants who live here, who say they're upset. They're upset because they were only given 2 days' notice. Some say they have no place to go. When we arrived to Regency Inn, a man wearing a security polo met us at the open front door. I asked what was going on. He said, "We are closed and will open in a few days." I asked him how many people lived at the inn. He said he did not know and asked us to leave. The fire marshal had that answer. According to inspectors, 105 rooms were occupied Tuesday. As of this morning, that number was down to 43. I snapped these photos. One is of a cease and desist order posted on May 11. It references several violations, including unsafe to public, structural integrity, life-threatening hazards, multiple code violations, unpermitted work, and other. This other photo I snapped shows 2 signs. One reads, "Closed until further notice." The other sign states, "Under new management." According to the fire marshal, inspectors did not find a sprinkler system. However, the inn is equipped with fire alarms, but in 75% of the rooms, the smoke detectors had been disabled. As a hotel, fire code states occupants are limited to 30 days. On Tuesday, 39 occupants had been there longer than 1 month, which by code makes it a dormitory, and a dormitory must have a sprinkler system.
They told me to leave.
Do you have anybody coming to pick you up?
No, but I have to have nobody. My family's all passed away now.
Heather Bradley says she's lived at Regency Inn for a year. She says she was discharged from the hospital today and came home to most of her belongings gone.
They own my property. I'm talking about I have it all my life. Like my kids' pictures, things that I can't replace. They just threw it all out. Now, I did reach out to Changing Homelessness. I spoke with the CEO. She says they were able to help those who are medically vulnerable. I also reached out to Councilwoman Morgan. I'm waiting to hear back from her. Right now on news4jax.com, inside this story, you can see the full report from the fire marshal. A happy ending to a frightening ordeal. The children kidnapped that prompted an Amber Alert were found safe around 1 o'clock this afternoon inside this motel room. The parents were arrested for kidnapping. The steamboat dive in. Inside room 6 were David Evans, Sydney Jones, and their 4-year-old son and 2-year-old daughter. Today was one for the books.
Exciting. Yes, and with a happy ending, I might add.
When police raided this room, the 2-year-old was sleeping on this mattress. The 4-year-old was sitting on this bed. Dustin Klesse owns Steamboat Dive In. He helped authorities enter the room.
I was successful in having the customers open the door and allow me access to the room for a plumbing problem.
Did they seem out of character?
Not at all. Completely normal. The male was particularly clean cut. Very polite.
Klesse says the couple checked in Wednesday afternoon for 2 days. According to authorities, the children were kidnapped from this home in Lake City Wednesday night. Did you hear anything?
No, I did not. I was in bed.
How would you describe the folks that live there?
They're pretty quiet, keep to themselves. We do see the kids in the backyard from time to time playing, but other than that, not too much out of them.
The children were living with a relative who had custody of them. News4Jax requested calls for service for the home where the children were kidnapped. Since October of 2020, there were 3 calls for service, including domestic violence on the children's father, David Evans. The calls for service noted Evans reportedly had a tendency to punch holes in walls and needs help with his temper. It's uncertain what tipped off investigators to the family's whereabouts. The parents are scheduled to make their first court appearance tomorrow morning in Live Oak. Reporting live in Lake City, I'm Zachery Lashway, Channel 4, the local station. Yeah, Joy, this is a wild story. According to court documents, several incidents were caught on camera, all happening from inside this fulfillment center. 24 incidents, coins worth more than $127,000 stolen. Jarrell Scott was caught red-handed. According to the warrant, thefts caught on surveillance video occurred between January 27th and February 27th of this year. Additional incidents between September of last year and January of this year, specifically tied to Scott's credentials, totaling more than $143,000, were not caught on camera. The warrant says in all, 72 coins were stolen. Scott would go to a jackpot station within the fulfillment center to steal the coins. At the time, Scott was a Tom Team associate, which is an exterior position with Amazon. The document states Scott had no reason within his job description to be in that area, but his credentials from his previous position with Amazon allowed him access.
That opened up an opportunity for him to steal, and he took advantage of that opportunity.
News4Jack's crime and safety expert Ken Jefferson was a street cop for decades with JSO. This is pretty brazen.
Very brazen, but it also goes to show the checks and balance systems that the fulfillment center has to be able to detect this sort of thing and to be able to promptly act and then prosecute persons who would steal from them.
The warrant also says Scott would log on to the Amazon intranet with his credentials and search for specified coins to see the value of the coins. Now, I reached out to Scott. He actually called me back this afternoon. He said these are only allegations and he had no further comment. I also reached out to Amazon. We have yet to hear back from them. If convicted, Scott could face up to at least 25 years in prison. Reporting live from the north side, I'm Zachery Lashway, Channel 4, the local station. Tom, thankfully, nobody was injured, but several docks were lost. Walk with me. I want to show you something. Take a look at this. This morning, this was a dock intact. This evening, as you can see, it is a raft. It's like a scene from a movie.
Look at the next dock. Ah.
Only, it's not.
It's gonna hit the bulkhead.
A barge bashing into several docks along the St. Johns River on Little Marsh Island, damaging some, destroying others. From where we're standing, I can see 3 damaged docks. You have this one. You can see the roof is slanted. A few docks down is mangled. But take a look at this dock right here. The wooden pilings are about to snap.
It looks like about 5 or 6 at least docks were and boats were damaged.
Did you sustain any damage?
Just from parts of docks. If there's lots of chunks of docks floating down and beating up against our dock, and I lost all my halogen lights.
Mike Ziza shot this video as crews gained control of the barge and towed it away.
Our dock is gone.
A few houses away. Got here. What did you find?
Debris everywhere.
According to U.S. Coast Guard officials, the barge got loose from a tugboat or a mooring late morning. A spokesperson with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers tells me the barge belongs to a contractor engaged by USCE that is dredging the entrance channel to Naval Station Mayport. This is not related to the St. Johns River Harbor Deepening Project. Back here live, you are looking at what was once the roof of a dock sitting in the St. Johns River. We should mention this barge has not been involved in the offloading of the Bridgeport barge, still aground about a mile offshore Hanna Park. Reporting live in Jacksonville, I'm Zachery Lashway, Channel 4, the local station.